you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to Some Broadway World over here on the Broadway Podcast Network. You know, God is good and amazing because I literally moved to Detroit 6 months ago. And my in-laws out here in Detroit have been talking about Jason's lyric coming. Jason's lyric is coming and Jason's lyric is coming. And then I reached out and I said, I got to get on the press day. I got to be here. You know, the Jacarius, the production company, if it's Vivian, if it's Tretch, if it's the people that have come on our show, I need to talk about Jason's lyric. And then I get an email. And then I see on Deadline, you're doing big things out here in these streets. And I am so honored and I'm so excited that Jacarius Johnson is here to talk about his studio, about his shows. Hey, I was ready. I was so sad that New Jack City was over because I was going to audition for Pookie. I know how much one rib costs too. Jacarius, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I have so much to talk to you about because you are such an inspiration to creatives and people out here who have just been on the grind and the hustle. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that big news was announced, and this big news was announced that your film studio and the Paralegal is coming out as the first project. Can you tell us what does it mean and what is the story?
Well, I mean, it's basically about a paralegal who falls for her boss and basically wants everything that's in his life except his wife. She wants to do without the wife and keep everything else. And so she basically stages this entire web that he has no way out of except to give her what she wants. So it's an exciting thriller that will be our debut film for Jacarius Johnson Studios. And I'm excited about it, man. It's going to be a really awesome, we're releasing an entire slate of thrillers out the gate. And then we're going to go into some holiday and some dramas and stuff.
Well, it's a really big deal. How long have you been working on it officially being a film studio and having your own place to put out these films in this way?
Well, you know, I almost did it a long time ago. It's just at that time, the timing wasn't right. Everything was all things Tyler Perry at that time. And so, you know, just like anything, you got to kind of let whoever has the momentum, you got to kind of let it run its course and find where the opening is for you to come to market. So I've saved up. I've been writing stuff for years. And when I say I have an entire vault of content, I probably can do 6 movies a year for at least 5 years straight and have never had any third-party content just on the stuff that pre-exists that I've just written. So that's just the movies. I got at least 22 television series that I've already written the pilots and the at least the first 6 episodes of. So I kind of have this vault to begin with. And my goal is that as I begin to put out quality content, I can attract other artists along the way and be able to be kind of a pathway and a pipeline for other artists to be successful.
Well, I'm ready. Take over the business. Let's go. Put it out. While we're talking, if you want information, you can find the website or you can follow him on Instagram so you can stay up to date. People may not know you're from Houston.
I am. Yes.
And a lot of talented people are from Houston.
Yeah.
And you ventured your way to California, and you've done a lot of things. Like, you're not just a writer, you're not just a producer. You're a promoter. I mean, you've done concerts with everybody.
Yeah. Writer, director, producer, promoter, and formerly an actor. I actually got a full scholarship to college between acting and writing. So I used to be very good as an actor, actually. You know, I was the mini Denzel in college, and then I moved to Los Angeles like every college kid does. When you finish school, you run to Los Angeles, and I thought I was the king, but the only crown I was holding was a crown royal on the balcony, wondering why I couldn't get a gig. So it was pretty crazy.
But when you read your bio, it says that Edward Albee or August Wilson were people. How did your interaction? How were they a part of your story?
Well, Edward taught at the University of Houston. He taught playwriting, which is where I went. So I got a chance to witness the play about the baby being written while in college. So it was a very, very interesting experience. And August was a stint in Pittsburgh, and what I learned between the two of them is that they were very different types of writers. They were one was definitely poetic, and the other one is more of a technician. Like, and when I say technician, it's not even just the words; it's the use of grammar to evoke character, kind of like you do at Shakespeare. You know, your end stops, your this, your that, and your breath control that goes with that. I remember in class at U of H, we did the zoo story, um, and it was Peter and Jerry, and there's this monologue, this 3-page monologue that exists, and ultimately we stripped away all the words and only played the grammar, like only played the punctuation. And so if you just looked at the punctuation and you knew your breath control between an ellipses, a comma, an end stop, a period, and then you saw what the monologue was supposed to be emotionally by just understanding that with no words. Then when you put the words into it, it was just like, wow. Like, so I got a chance to really learn writing in a very different way.
You work with the best ever, the
Yes.
best of the best ever. So then you as an actor and you with that kind of training and as a playwright, how do you approach the actors that do your stage pros or stage shows or will do your movies? Because some of them are not, acting is not their first forte. So
Yeah.
what kind of a director do you describe yourself as?
I'm definitely an actor's director in the sense of, I'm even when I write, I put myself into the characters and I'm playing them as they're coming out. They're just talking to me. So when I'm directing, I'm also trying to help them understand, um, the writer's intent, but basically the who, what, when, where, and why, and what's the intention, and what's the objective, and the super objective of the scene. So it's very much like a clinic in the sense of an acting clinic, because whatever I ask you to do, I literally can do it myself. So if I couldn't get the performance out of you and there was some disconnect, even when I'm explaining it, I could almost go into it and then they like, oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. So,
Yes, I hear that. Well, you become known. Your stage shows are known. Your originals and the things that you've toured, but you're also the person who takes movies we love that are iconic and puts them on stage. How was that journey? How did that become a part of your repertoire?
well, it's actually a very interesting thing because the first one that I did kind of didn't get a whole lot out there, and that was Two Could Play That Game. And it was a comedy. It was great, but for some reason it just didn't stick as well as I thought it would have. So then I came back with Set It Off, right? Which was an action drama. And that piece kind of just took off, right? Everyone began to respond to that. And it was a favorite movie, but most of all, I had a very dynamic cast, very interesting, and it kind of appealed to not just a theater going generation, but a hip hop generation because the brat was in there. We had a rapping in there. It was all types of dynamics. It was a kind of a street based kind of cult classic type of dynamic. So it was that was the one where I realized, okay, maybe I need to diversify from just doing original romantic comedies. And because Two Could Play That Game was kind of just in line with another romantic comedy, Set It Off kind of changed the tempo, the temperament, and the style of what was coming out. And so then from there, I then went to Redemption of a Dog, which was Snoop, and then into New Jack City. So the adaptation process for both Set It Off and New Jack City is an acronym called ACTOR. So the adaptation, which is me looking at a film and saying, what is it about this film that people remember and resonate, and making sure I have all the memorable moments. Then the C is character compositing and scene consolidations. So I'm taking the film and I'm saying, okay, we can't have all these day players. So how do I composite these characters so that we don't have all these day players? And then how do I do the consolidation of the scenes and in order to say, okay, we can't be in all the locations that exist in the movie either. So I began to consolidate them. And then I do something called a scene compression, where I compress it so that literally in warp speed, I can give you kind of what took the first 30 minutes of the movie, and I can compress that into the first 5 minutes of the play and kick the story off. And then I theatricalize it, which is the T in the actor acronym, which is the adaptation process. The T is the theatricalization, and what that really means is, how do I take like the SWAT teams and the cars, hydraulics on the cars and the chase? How do I theatricalize that for the stage? Because again, those are memorable moments and Set It Off. The Carter being set on fire, and with Pookie and the bombs, and how do I do all of these things for the stage? And then the O is originality. I'm looking for the moments that the clues that the film gives me of where I could take these characters where the film didn't go into. And I could say, but it's plausible based on the evidence of the film. Any one of these things could have happened, but the film doesn't go into that. So I take a dramatic license and go into that so I can give you some originality. So it's not just regurgitating a film, but I'm giving you something fresh and new. And then Set It Off. What was brilliant about that, if I may say so myself, but no, what was brilliant about that moment is that the very end of the movie, where there is a look between Stoney and the officer that took place on the bus. Well, I couldn't put a bus on the stage and emulate a look that said 1,000 words. So my question was, what is the outcome? The outcome is he must let her go. And so what does she say to him to create a conviction in him to make it so that he wants to let her get away, that she has earned a right to have a pass considering everything that has taken place? And so so basically when everybody thought it was going to follow the movie, it derails and it goes into this whole other fresh face-off between the two of them that turns into something very magical that the audience really loved and appreciated. And then the R is just make it riveting, right? Keep people on the edge of their seat and having a good time. So that's the actor acronym for adapting films into the live stage.
Well, I know people go out of their mind when they come see their shows. They're a character. The audience is a character in this show as well, and the love and the feelings and everything that gets thrown back at the actors. So while we're talking about it, because I know you're coming to my neck of the woods, Jason's Lyric Live is on tour right now with you talk about a cast. Oh my goodness. Alan is back in his role. Even Marcel Tretch, K. Michelle. I was like, Victoria Raoul, like that Victoria Raoul is in this? And you got them all out and about.
Yeah.
How's it been so far? You just opened, you've been on the road. How's the response been?
It's been fantastic, man. I couldn't wish for anything better. This wonderful cast is doing a wonderful job. And Alan, who hasn't aged a bit in all of these years, and Eva breathing the life into Lyric, and K. Michelle not only acting but singing the house down, so you can get some refreshing music out of her. Tyron Turner, who's from Minister Society, breathing a lot of psychotic life into that role of the brother of Josh, and obviously Victoria Raoul and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, who are playing the mom and dad in the piece, is just freaking phenomenal. And then you can't forget about Tretch, who's reprising his role as Alonzo, who's killing it.
Yes.
When I say killing it, he's killing it. So they're fantastic. The audience is loving it. We're getting standing ovations, and it's a very different tonal piece, right? It's different than Set It Off. It's different than New Jack City, because it's not as much action as those, but it's more romance, inside. And when you're talking about kind of a hood romance, it was the first kind of street romance, like a urban Romeo and Juliet type of situation, where two people who love each other, but there's an obstacle in the way, and the obstacle just happens to be family in this case, and the dynamics of the hood wanting to keep you back instead of allowing you to go forward in life, which is a real tragedy of what life is like there. I come from it, so I completely understand who these people are, and the desire to get out and see something greater. And that's what attracts me to it, even beyond being from Houston and that the film was shot in Houston. It's really a story of mine as a kid that was coming up in a dilapidated environment and felt that there had to be something more out there that I was missing. And then, as in Jason's lyric, they talk about this bus and where it's going, and fantasizing about what's on the other side of the world that's outside of the confinements of this community. And what they find is freedom and love and joy and the ability to let go of everything that is holding us hostage. And we all got something holding us hostage in life, and that's the journey of
Yes.
life.
It's going to be so good, everybody. I'm biased because I'll be there. I will be here March 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Music Hall Center for the Performing Arts in Detroit. Just downtown. You got to go. It's a beautiful theater. They're going to blow the roof off the joint, and tickets are flying. I was looking today, and I'm like, y'all better buy a ticket. People, buy a ticket. Go get a ticket. And then you'll be everywhere from Brooklyn to the West Coast to the South. Like, go to your website. Yeah. The links and everything will be below us. And then you follow it up, and Games Women Play will be around the corner right after.
Yes, that's an original comedy. Again, wanting to keep it diversified and dropping 2 shows at the same time, which I don't know if anyone has ever done that. Actually, I think it's the first time it's ever been done. 2 shows opening up. We were opening in Houston on Jason's Lyric and opening in Washington, D.C. with Games Women Play at the exact same day, exact same time, 2 places, 2 cities, 2 incredibly wonderful audiences and crowds. And it was magnificent. It was a magnificent thing to make history. And that comedy is funny. I mean, get ready to laugh. Get ready to find you some oxygen mask or somewhere to breathe again. I mean, it is funny. I'm very proud of Carl Payne too. This meant a lot for me to let go of my baby and let Carl have his directorial debut. And he had to ask me to please leave the room because I was on him. I was like, well, why are you having? Why are you making them? Why is the blocking like that? Why didn't you just make them do this? Just please leave. Give me some breathing room. I promise it'll be good. I'm like, okay, I'm stepping out. And I peek back in. What you doing? But he's done a fantastic job. Fantastic.
This show also going around the country, and some great, amazing cast, as you can see in this as well, from Jill Marie Jones to Carl Payne to Flex Alexander. We love Claudia Jordan's been here. Like, you guys have put together an amazing group of people. You have so many projects on if you go on your website, if it's the Marvin Gaye musical, if it's Destiny's Child, if it's the hippest Wizard of Oz, if it's, Waiting to Exhale and Luther's, you don't take a nap. You don't sleep.
No. I'm on a mission to create what I call Blackway across America. There's Broadway across America, but I want to create Blackway across America because while I support Broadway and I'm a part and a product of that to some degree, I also think that some of the stories that is being told are not resonating with everyone. And while diversity is the goal is to get diversity on Broadway, and the only way you can do it is really to diversify the content. If you don't diversify the content, you can't diversify the crowd. So my objective is to build a season of shows, 5 to 7 a year, the same way that the Broadway Across America series has that tours, but all would be curated in-house and with a standard and a quality control. And we would tour them across the country and create really this subscription-like environment by just being consistent and different. That's why I operate in the 3 verticals of original, classics, and legacy. My thought is where do Black people go to get their stories told? There is no place. They don't know where to turn. So where do they go? And so I'm saying, this is a home where you're going to get it told wonderfully, authentically, incredibly, and excitingly. And we're passionate about it. Where do our classic films get reimagined? This is where you go. And where do you just get something refreshing, new, and different because it's original? Right here. So the goal is if I can curate between these 3 verticals, and I'm working on some other verticals, like I want to do a horror. I really want to do Get Out, even though it's a movie. I want to get out. I want to do Get Out as a freaking live experience. So, and I want to do country. I want to do I have an idea for a country musical. It started with when Old Town Road came out, and I was like, how can I get the country market and then say something about relationships, say something about the American dynamic, the cultural dynamic, and the socio logical and dynamic between Black and white. So I was like, what if I took Lil Nas X and Miley Cyrus and maybe Billy Ray thought that this Black kid was trying to date his daughter, and there's this whole misinterpretation, but that's really her best friend, and then he turns out to be gay, and then now Billy Ray feels bad, and now he wants to help him because he's just trying to get his little hip hop country kind of record out. And so that's how Old Town Road is born, right? Out of a real visceral dynamic between us all and the misconceptions that we have of each other, and the cultural clash, but then we find the similarities and the love between us all, and it becomes something magical, you know. So I don't know no limitations, so I kind of don't want to put any limitations on myself, and I just kind of want to just dance in all spaces.
Well, I'm going to send in my tape to play Billy Ray. That's it. I'm ready.
There you go. There you go.
I'm excited when you talked about making a black wave for Broadway. You know, during during the whole Black Lives Matter, the conversation about Broadway and about diversifying Broadway happens, and then things happen and they go away, and then the actors and the performers and the writers who put out the content, and then they get their shot, and then they move on, and it kind of steamrolls through. But what you're doing allows people to be represented and stories to be told and actors to work, and everybody should be able to see themselves on stage and their stories should be told. And that is such a beautiful blessing to communities and people out here. Yeah. I kudos to you. It is really inspiring and really exciting stuff.
Thank you. I really believe that if we just operate in excellence, that it'll draw and attract all audiences. And so, you know, one of the business challenges I've been running into is finding skilled Black talent. And I'm not talking about on the stage, I'm talking about in the business, right? There are not many, if any, legitimate like general managers that are Black, right? I get some associates, I get some assistants, but no one has really truly that I've found yet that have truly elevated. There's been some company managers as assistants and associates that's kind of there, but they've never been taught the business. And so it's a very interesting dynamic because I'm literally having to build out the entire infrastructure in order to achieve what I'm doing, because I can't do out of town tryouts in the white regional theater with my content, keep it authentically what it is, because they have a subscriber base that they must appeal to. And even during the Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd event, as I was reading the We See You White American Theater and all of this other stuff, I just kept looking at it and saying, you know, it's interesting because today, 98% of my revenue comes from a Black audience, which is kind of the opposite of every other theater, right? So when I'm listening to the playwrights saying, oh, they went to this theater or that theater, and you know, they were asked to change their content and this and that. And I'm saying, well, why did you go there? Why didn't you come to me? Right? Why you can't go to someone else's house when they have to curate to a specific demographic because that's who their supporters are. And then you say, forget about your supporters. I want you to do this play that doesn't really appeal to those supporters. I said I was talking to one of them. And I said, what if they came to me and told me I had to do all plays that was catered to just white folks? You take you're taking me out of my knowledge base as a marketer, right? And the ability to get success. Two, you're asking me to not support and promote the base of people that are my supporters, so to speak. And I said, I said, it's even unfair for you to ask them to do the same. Like I see it in a very different lens because I am the distributor of it by being the promoter. I am this, and I'm just saying it's a business. At the end of the day, it's still a business. And there's a place for everybody. And we just have to find those lanes. But in order for them to come to here and realize the value of a real pathway and a pipeline for all content, but specifically focusing on Black content to be developed, you got to come here if you want to do Preacher's Wife and to be authentic. You got to come here, and if you want to do whatever it is that was a Black product and you want it to be resonate with Black folks, you have to start here. We can still go to Broadway and have a larger and expand our audience, but you can't lose your base before you ever get your base by starting at the regional theater and then never get an audience, right? You're in purgatory. So those are the challenges that I face, and I think the solutions that we're working on building.
Oh man, this is no shade to everyone, but if you had The Preacher's Wife in your hands, it
Look,
would be on Broadway right now because that
absolutely, absolutely.
it would be
And
on Broadway with.
and you know why it would be on Broadway? Because we would have done a successful tour and we would have been able to prove economic viability, quality of production, and audience appeal, which are, I think, three variables that need to be tested before any Black content goes to Broadway. Why are you putting it on Broadway and you don't even know who the audience is? And and the underlying material was for one audience, but you don't know how to reach that audience. And now you're putting it in a place where you have to get the new audience to adopt it, but you have no base to build up to a place where the new audience can have word of mouth from people to hear the rumbles, to know that it's worth supporting. So yeah, that's the key to me. Like, we have this whole mechanism called this Black touring market to be your proof of concept as to whether a production has the ability to expand. So all we do is we go play the National or go play the Pantages along the way, and we let the Nederlanders marketing, in addition to our marketing, diversify the audience. And if both audiences walk out with the same outcome, that this was amazing, then it says we can work on Broadway. That simple, right?
I'm literally, you have a foundation, the I'm Ready Foundation. There's an acting school. There's all that. I'm ready to be in it. Can I be an intern in your I'm 41 years old? But the way that you approach this business is the future, is the way that people need to look at the business and how to diversify the business and move it to the new century. So I'm really excited for the film studio. I'm really excited for the films and the television stuff. If you're in Detroit, I owe you a Coney dog and a Faygo soda when Jason's Lyric and Games Women Play comes to town. I'll be there with the family. Congratulations and thank you so much for being here. It's really been an honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and you've been great, Robert. It's a pleasure.
I'm excited. Everybody, go follow on Instagram, go to the website, get your tickets, and stay following. So when the movies come out, when the Paralegal comes out, and all 182 films that he's got in his desk drawer right now are made, that you are there and able to support all that he's doing, we'll be ready for it. Have a great one. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Be safe.